It's great to see so many of you here at this time. I don't have answers for you. That's not what I'm hoping to do here. I'm not going to tell you that you need to pivot to mobile alerts, or you need to pivot to Reddit, or pivot to whatever is the next shiny thing coming on the horizon. What I'm going to give you something far more powerful, which is questions. How to think about the questions we need to ask to get us ready for that audience in the next decade's time. And partly because this is the media world today, or the way I feel now after 3 days of ONA. But in some ways, the future of media is already here. It's just unevenly distributed. You know, it's a famous sci-fi quote. And this is the world we're dealing with. It can be very confusing, can be seemingly new platforms, new initiatives, new changes in iOSs. That means our alerts are changed. This is the world we live in. But the questions we need to ask in all of this is saying, well, where does my audience fit into this? You know, sort of, this is the perennial question for us. What is it that our audience wants from us, given the multitude of places that they are, the multiple devices, the multiple channels, and how do we get to those questions to find out, you know, how can we connect and resonate with them? Well, the thing is, we actually do know a few things about our audience. So this is data from the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism Annual Digital News Report. If you haven't checked it out, you should do. Data from 74,000 online news consumers, 37 countries, including the US. And this is a trend they've noticed, this sideways access to the news. So, you know, in a previous lifetime before I joined UBC, I was running the BBC News website, and that homepage was prime real estate. I had tremendous power. Now, if I was doing that job, I'd have so little power because there's all these sideways ways into the news. So we need to know that we need to be out there and think about how our audience is coming to us. We also know that different age groups have different habits. Younger skew more towards search and social, and older skew more towards coming directly to your website or email. So you can probably get some of this from your analytics already. But I want to think beyond, like, oh, are they coming on social or search? And think about a different thing. Think about the place and the time for news. You know, not just what device, but where exactly are they doing this? Because if we're asking questions about when do people have time for the news and where are they doing it, we can find opportunities to match our services to there. So, you know, a third of your consumers are checking the news when they go to the washroom. Does anybody here want to admit they do that? Well, I do. It's, you know, it's a quiet time. What else are you going to do? You know, this is an opportunity. How do you meet that need? So the questions I think we need to ask is not just who my audience is in terms of their gender, age, interests, urban, rural, all sorts of demographic information we already have. Not just how do they do it. Is it search? Is it social? Is it iOS? Is it Android? Is it mobile? Is it desktop? But really add a couple more questions, which is when does that audience need the news? When is it that they have that gap in the day from dropping the kids off at school, doing something else, and then suddenly, oh, I have 5 minutes, I can inform myself. When are those time periods? And then where is that happening? Because increasingly what we're seeing is people getting the news into sort of these dead times in between other things. And for me, the example is parents who take their kids to baseball practice. Does anybody here take their kid to baseball practice? You know, you talk to the parents, and then you have a few minutes, and you think, what am I going to do? Well, you're going to take out your phone, and you might spend some on Facebook, but you might spend some of it on the news. Last year in Canada, we launched the Conversation Canada, and one of the discussions we had is we had a lot of parenting content, and we thought, when do we push it out on Facebook? And for that, we thought, well, it's in the evening. We're going to try to get the parents who have taken their kids to baseball practice, who their kids are off doing their thing, and they have a few minutes. They're likely to be on Facebook. Let's put our parenting content out at that particular time, thinking, hopefully that's when they'll get it. So this is what I'm asking you. Think of the questions. If you're ever in Vancouver, do come and visit us. It's a beautiful campus, and thank you all very much.
All right, thank you.